الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلى الله عليه محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. These are the after effects of Laylatul Qadr. So usually what happens the day after Laylatul Qadr, without judging anyone, I think the Mu'mineen are really recognized after Laylatul Qadr and not throughout or before that. So I commend everyone who showed up and came after a very long night of Amal. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your ibadat, count every moment of our worship in His bargah to be acceptable inshallah. And as promised in the rawayat, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives manifold to all of you in this life and inshallah in the hereafter. But one thing we need to understand is that all of us were making dua last night. And we're told to make dua. It's not a phenomena which we're unaware of. Everyone raises their hands, everyone is supplicating, whether the words of Ma'asumeen or your own inner thoughts or the things that are in your hearts that you are asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes our du'as do come true, and that's when Allah has accepted it. Sometimes our du'as are not accepted, that's when Allah has declined it. So I mentioned this at another time, that Imam said, when should I be more thankful? When you accept my dua or when you decline my dua? And then he said, I should be more thankful when you decline my dua. Because when you accept my dua, it is what I wanted. It was my wish. When you decline my dua, it is your wish. So your wish should be prioritized over my wish. So this is one way of looking at it. If dua is not accepted, you should still be thankful because that's the way God wanted it to be. It might not be good for you what you had asked for. So a lot of times things that we ask for is also not appropriate. We don't know what is appropriate for us at the moment. We're thinking, okay, this and this would be good for me for the next 10 years or the next 5 years, or different types of du'as. I don't want to put words, and what people usually ask for, but this is how Allah thinks that, how if it's good for us, He will give it to us. So two things is, when He accepts it, that's one, mashallah. When He doesn't, then He declines it. There are two other options, which Ma'asumeen mentioned. Allah accepts it, but He gives you something else in return. So for example, you asked for, oh Allah, give, wealth and health to my children. Instead of granting that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants something else. Oh Allah, give us, sensibility, give us, a place in this society. Oh Allah, let us live a very, healthy life. Allah gives something else in return, because that might not be appropriate for you. So He does accept it, but He gives something else that you and I sometimes do not realize, oh, we've been bestowed by that. Oh, Allah gave us that. So sometimes these intangible, rewards are not seen or not understood right away. And then sometimes Allah accepts the dua, but does not give you in this world. He instead delays it and gives you in the hereafter. So you made a dua, oh Allah, give me this or that, whatever, but He doesn't give it to you right here. He will bestow that mercy upon you, blessing upon you in the hereafter. And then when you get it in the hereafter, Masumin mentioned that if we knew the compensation for our supplications in the hereafter, we'd all be making a dua, oh Allah, don't make any of our duas come true in this world. Bestow us in the hereafter. Would prefer that which you give in the hereafter than which we would have asked for in this world and had been bestowed by you. So this is how Masumin have mentioned. Sometimes Allah accepts it, sometimes He declines it. When He accepts it, how does He give? Sometimes He gives the same thing to you, sometimes He gives something else, or sometimes He delays it and gives it in the hereafter. But that's where we understand and realize that no one should be mayus and in despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? La tayasu min rawhillah. Do not be in despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If something does not come true, it's not like you should just give up. No, continue to try. There are many other means that are mentioned by Masumin as to why sometimes the inacceptability of dua. So we need to continue, we need to keep on trying, and we should not give up. In fact, there's a story of a person who became to known as Abu Jarane. Jaran or Jarane is a name of a beetle, right? It's a beetle in Arabic. That little insect which is attracted by the flames or the candle, in other words. So Abu Jarane, this guy who became to known as that, he was sitting in the masjid and he was looking about and thinking about the events of his life and how he has given up on many things and how he did not want to pursue many things. While he was sitting in the masjid, he saw on the pillar that there was this little beetle. It was trying to climb up the pillar, and because it was very slippery, it would fall. He said, I kept on looking at it, and to my last counting, it tried to climb 700 times. Kept on going up, it will fall. Kept on going up, it will fall. It was attracted by that light above it, and that was the means of its attraction. So it kept on trying, kept on trying, kept on trying. He said, I counted 700 times. After that, I said, this gives me a lesson. If a little, insect tries so hard and does not give up, then me, as a human being whom God has bestowed this intellect and mercy and blessings, why should I ever give up? He said, I made this intention from that point on. I got up, performed the wudu, to go ahead and perform the prayer, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for teaching me this lesson. He said, when I prayed and performed my salat and came back, I saw the beetle had made it on the top. Beetle had finally reached the top where it was trying to reach. So you don't give up. Don't lose hope right away. A lot of times it is for our own good while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is delaying something, and it is for our own betterment. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So when we started the discussion, I recited this ayat from chapter Luqman, verse number 17. You might have thought the discussion is about something else in chapter 31, verse 17, by the ayat that I had recited. It's a very famous ayah, Ya bunayya aqim as-salat wa'amur bil ma'ruf wanha 'anil munkar wasbir 'ala ma asabik. I'm sure you've heard this ayat many times, or even if you haven't, you know the tone of the ayah. What is it talking about? Oh my son, establish the prayer, aqim as-salat wa'amur bil ma'ruf, do perform the amr bil ma'ruf, perform nahi 'anil munkar, and indeed have patience over that which befalls you. Indeed, it is difficult and requires courage. You might have thought, the discussion would be somewhere over there. But when I looked at the crowd, I said, this is the after effect of Laylatul Qadr. After a long night of ibadat, usually the crowd thins out. But nonetheless, those who've showed up, I'll make sure that you go home having, inshallah, learned something from the ayat of Quran, as far as the instructions that we have received from Masumin in regards to this particular ayat of Surah Luqman. Based on the instructions of Luqman. Now we know that Luqman, in fact, I think 3 years ago, we did the tafsir of Surah Luqman. We did not reach this far into it, but we did the tafsir nonetheless of the first 15 or so ayat of Surah Luqman. And we talked about who Luqman was and the background of Luqman. Definitely he was not a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was not an apostle, he was not a prophet, because nowhere does Allah mention him as a prophet, nor do we find instructions from Masumin to him being a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he was a very pious man of his time. He was a wise man. He was given an option to be Hakim or Hakim. He chose Hakim over being Hakim, saying that Hakim would rule over people. Apparently when a person becomes Hakim, now he's ruling and people are being ruled by him. But Hakim is, on the other hand, which is the ruler of the souls of the people, not the physical aspect and the bodily aspect of the people. So he said, I chose to be Hakim over Hakim. What's the difference? Hakim is the ruler. Hakim is, he chose wisdom. So he chose to be wise over being the ruler. So he's setting the standard. In fact, when you look at it, amongst the ingredients for a ruler is to have hikmat. And that's why when Talut, and the story of Jalut and Talut, in where people had asked Moses to appoint for us, or ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a king, and he said, this is your king, Saul would be your king. And they said, how could he be our king? How could he rule us? He does not have wealth, he does not possess all of these properties that we do. We are more worthy of rulership than he. The ayat was revealed, no, bastatan fil ilmi, he has ilm, wisdom, and he has physical courage as well. These are the two ingredients that you need for one to be the ruler. So nonetheless, Luqman chose latter. He chose to be Hakim over being an Hakim. And so there are many other stories that are mentioned by Masumin outside of Quran, of course. In Quran, in chapter Luqman, it is primarily the discussion of how he's giving instruction to his children. So ulama akhlaq have divided and given instructions as far as different chapters of Quran are concerned. They say you must teach chapter Luqman to your children as a means of tarbiyat. If you want proper tarbiyat of your children, make sure that you embark on this journey. Teach them Surah Luqman. Not just, what does that mean, teach them? Make them read it? No, they read the whole Quran. Make them read the translation. Also read the translation, but at the same time, instruct and provide these instructions which are mentioned in Surah Luqman, one after another. In fact, make these one sentence long instructions to be their goals for a month, for a week. So this one line is your goal for a week. This one line is your goal for 1 month. This one line is what you're going to be doing for, let's say, next 3 months or so and so forth. So make that to be your goal. So they have emphasized a great deal when it comes to the tarbiyat of awlad and the rearing of the children. Make sure that you teach them Surah Luqman. Similarly, it is mentioned, make sure that you teach your daughters Surah Nur. Not that you shouldn't teach your sons Surah Nur. That's not saying. It's not when something is being recommended, the other part of it is, denounced. That's not the case. But it is highly recommended that you teach your daughters Surah Nur. Why? Because of the ayat about the whole dress, the whole concept of covering, the concept of modesty in general is mentioned, and in particular. So in general, how one should be modest as far as their clothes are concerned, as far as their eyes are concerned. It's not just the clothes which bring modesty to someone, it's also your eyes which bring modesty to your character. How do you look around? How do you keep your gaze lower, or do you keep them just wandering around everywhere? All of these aspects are mentioned in details. Who is mahram to you? That is mentioned in this surah. Every single person that is mahram to you is mentioned and listed in this surah. Those who are not, that is mentioned as well. So different aspects of modesty are discussed. Therefore, ulama akhlaq say, teach your daughters Surah Nur. They will learn the concept of modesty from it, and they will learn the concept of hijab from that surah. So there are different surahs like that are mentioned in Quran. Every single surah is associated with something like this, just so that it is given us a direction. Right? There's some sort of direction is being given. Otherwise, you look at the whole Quran, it's for everyone. The whole book is instruction for us. In fact, if you look at the Quran, you would find merely 500 verses to be talking about ahkam. Fasting, praying, hajj, zakat, khums, amr ma'ruf, nahy anil munkar, tawarra, tawalla, or taking care of this, taking care of that. All these wajibat that we have, all the muharramat, 500 maximum verses that you will find out of 6,000 plus verses that we have. So what are the other remaining verses? They are stories from the past Anbiya. There are akhlaqiyat in there. There's history in there. And within history, there's lesson for us. So Quran also is emphasizing a great deal. After I only mentioned 500 or so verses about ahkam, to focus on the character and the behavior of insan. After this little brief muqaddimah, we'll get to the verses. So the ayat says, O my son, keep up the prayer, enjoin the good, forbid the evil, and bear patiently that which befalls you. Surely these acts require courage. You'd say these acts require courage. Salat is being mentioned. Establishment of prayer. Amr al-Ma'ruf is being mentioned. Nahi al-Munkar is being mentioned. And patience is being mentioned. We understand the middle two, or Amr al-Ma'ruf. It's not easy for everyone to go ahead and tell someone. Well, even encouragement is easier, but it's not easy for people to go ahead and do nahi anil munkar. So that requires courage, no doubt. Wasbir ala ma asabik. That requires courage to bear patiently which befalls. So the calamity falls upon you, you bear patiently. That requires courage. These two we understand. Salat, aqim as-salat. What's the courage in that? Or, amr bil ma'ruf. Where's the courage in that? So make sure that you understand the ayat in Quran. It says aqim as-salat. It doesn't say iqra as-salat. It does not say pray. Rather it says establish the prayer, right? What do we recite in the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam? Ziyarat warith may it be, or ziyarat ashura may it be. Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salat wa atayta az-zakat wa amarta bil ma'ruf wa nahayta anil munkar wa ata'aka Allah hatta ata'aka al-yaqeen. Aqim as-salat, amr bil ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, wasbir ala masabik. Can you go ahead and relate what is being mentioned about Imam Hussein by our sixth Imam in that ziyarat? And what Luqman is saying to all of us. Or in fact, he's saying this to his son, but it is in fact telling all of us. He's saying the same exact thing. Aqim as-salat, amr bil ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, and that which befalls upon in front of you. When sixth Imam mentions that, Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salat, I bear witness that, O Hussein, you established that, O Hussein, aqim as-salat. If you translate that, you prayed, or you gave zakat, you did this, it does not increase one bit in our knowledge. Because we know as an imam and ma'asum, they prayed. And this also gives us the instruction to those who get into those valleys, deviated valleys of the religion, where they say we don't need prayer anymore. What do you need the salat for? Now we have this direct connection with our Lord. Ayat of Quran says, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَاتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship Lord until you have reached certainty. Now that you have reached certainty, you don't need worship. So I am at that stage of assurance and certainty. I don't need salat anymore. Someone said, when you try to reach the top of the roof or the house, you need a ladder. No aqil climbs up the ladder and then throws the ladder away, right? You need the ladder to come down as well. Similarly, when you reach this peak of salat, you remain modest. In fact, the more you get to the highest peak, the more modesty will come in you. The tawadhu, humbleness will come in you. Khudu and khushu will increase in you, right? That's why they say those trees which bear fruit and are the ones which are khadeh, are the ones which are drawn towards earth. But the ones who do not have anything to show for are straight, erected, standing, right? Nothing in them to show. There's no humbleness in them. The ones that are bearing fruit, are providing for mankind, are actually humble and down to earth. So here we understand that salat is not something, so Imam kept on praying. What sixth Imam is saying, establish the prayer. You indeed establish the prayer. By the blood that you gave, by the sacrifice that you gave, indeed you establish the prayer. So you and I are, when we look at Imam Ma'asum, that he continued to pray even until his last moment. Where was Amir al-Mu'mineen struck by the sword? In the mihrab. So if anyone had the highest level of shuhud and observation and was a mystic and was an arif and was a Sufi, it was none other than Amir al-Mu'mineen. None of us would reach that level of Sufism, the level of mysticism, that level of irfaniyat and whatnot, than Mawla Muttaqiyan. But yet he was still performing salat and standing in the mihrab. That was the last place that he was struck. That was the place where he was struck and where his shahada takes place. So when a person who's at the highest level, the one who's saying what? لَوْ كُشِفَ الْغِطَاء مَزْدَدْتُ يَقِينًا. If all the veils are removed, it will not increase one bit in my certainty and yaqeen. I'm already at that highest level of yaqeen. You and I, on the other hand, there are many veils have to be uncovered before, for us to keep on increasing as far as our yaqeen is concerned. So Imam kept on praying. Therefore, this salat, do not neglect it. Because Ma'asum is praying until the last breath. That means even if he's at this level of yaqeen, the salat is the requirement that he understands. So salat is the simplest, deepest, and the most beautiful connection between God and mankind, which existed, in fact, in all divine religions. There were some different ways of them worshiping and connecting with their Lord and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salat is the only worship prior to which it is recommended by the person with the best voice should call people towards this act of ibadat, right? Do you ever hear someone calling towards fasting? Do you hear someone calling towards other acts of ibadat? No. It's the only ibadat that before this ibadat is done, someone stands up, and it is recommended to have a lahn, so this, a beautiful voice, lahn Dawood, if you want to call it, to call upon the prayer so that it attracts people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore it says, Hayya ala khairil amal, Hayya ala al-falah, Hayya ala salat, breaks the silence, announces the Islamic doctrine, and awakens the heedless. And that's why we see that even before you get to the salat, you have already gone through so many steps that you cannot even comprehend. What have you gone through? You've gone through physical purification. You get up, you perform the wudu, you're purifying yourself physically, declaring that aspect that I am getting ready to move towards this aspect of salat. Then when adhan is being called, the wahdaniyat is being iterated. The prophethood is being mentioned. The wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is being discussed. You're being called towards the best of the actions. And therefore you see, before you even perform, you say first takbiratul ihram, all of these steps have already taken place. So just imagine the height and the peak of this salat. So how important is this salat? Do I really need to emphasize on this point? Well, from different angles, maybe it might increase the level of importance that salat has upon us. Why? Because all of us are victim of negligence of salat. I don't know, maybe 1,000 times you have heard this hadith that our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said, La yanalu shafa'atuna man istakhaffa bis salat. Our shafaat will not reach to those who take salat lightly. Let's look at the importance of salat. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made it to be his objective behind placing his wife and his infant in that desert. Right? He was asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was testing Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam with different tests. One of the tests was what? To leave his wife and his child in his infancy in this place where there's no inhabitants. Nobody lives there. That's the task for Hazrat Ibrahim. Very, very difficult task. He says what? Why is he made to do this? This is what he says. Rabbana, inni askantu min dhurriyati biwadin ghayri zi zar'in. Oh Allah, I have left and placed my family in that uninhabited place. Nobody lives there. There's no people there. Nobody's in the surrounding. غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ. It's a barren land for that matter. In the Baytik al-Muharram. But it is next to your sacred house. In the Baytik al-Muharram. It's next to your sacred house. That's the only thing about it. But why? Why have I done this? This is what Hazrat Ibrahim is given the reason. so that I may reach you, or may I get the pleasure of you, I may get closer to you, because your wahdaniyat is mentioned, because the prophethood is talked about, because the religion prevails. None of those reasons. Is that I left my family and my son, my wife and my son, infant, yuqim as-salat, so that salat is established. A prophet who also amongst ulul azm is required to leave his family and a child. Why? لِيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ, so that people may perform and establish the salat. So here you understand the height and the importance of salat. And then we see what happens to us, that when we are traveling, I think, now I'm not speaking on behalf of everyone, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. When we are traveling, the last thing on our mind is salat. We'll pray if the time was permitted, or we had enough time to pray. Or else we'll just pray when we get home. Or else we'll just pray when we get to our destination. So what? We'll miss one salat, right? It's the last thing on our priority list. No, that should be the first thing on your priority. Salat cannot be skipped or omitted under any circumstance. So when traveling, you're driving somewhere, you find a place, you try to find excuses. You go to work time does not allow you to pray, you try to look for excuses. No, there's no excuse, none whatsoever. Do you not get 10 minutes out of your 9-to-5 job? If you don't get 10 minutes out of your 9-to-5 job and you're constantly working, and you must, that's an exception. But if you get 10 minutes to go to a washroom or to get something to eat or drink, I'm sure this is a law over here that you are allowed 15 or 20-minute break during 9-to-5 job, no matter where you're working, no matter what your work is. I'm sure this is, even if you're working as a air traffic controller over there, that you must not make a mistake for even a second, because it'll cause calamity. Even there's someone who's backing you up, so you can go ahead and take this break. But we see that people make excuses. No, I wasn't able to pray. A lot of time people have asked, I don't get time to pray at work, so I come back home and I pray all of my salat together. So the solution is not this. You have to pray no matter what. He said, Moulana, it's very difficult to maintain purity. That's also sometimes very difficult to comprehend. That it's not that you need to have ghusl to be able to perform the salat. You just need 3 sips of water in order to perform the wudu. Wudu is not that difficult. We've made wudu to be so difficult. Maybe in the brothers of another sect, it is difficult for them because they have to wash top to bottom when they're performing the wudu. Not a knock on them, it's just this is how their fiqh says, that you have to wash all of your head, you have to lift up your feet, you have to wash all the feet and everything else. That's not how it is in our fiqh. We look at the ayat of Quran from Surah Ma'idah, which talks about إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, when you stand up for salat, this is how you go ahead and perform the wudu. How do you perform the wudu? You wash 2 things and you wipe over 2 things. 2 things that you wash is, one's your face, second is your hands, that you wipe over is your head and your feet. So it's very simple. You can do that in just Urdu mein teen chullu mein. You can take water 3 times in your hand and you can perform the entire wudu. But let me just bring it to a close. I did not know that I will take this much time. That the importance of salat, Hazrat Ibrahim leaves his family, لِيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ. Imam Hussein made his chest shield for the enemy's attack on the day of Ashur in order to perform Salatul Zuhr. If that raises any level of awareness as to how important the salat is, you and I are traveling merely, we neglect the salat. Imam is in the battlefield, yet he is on his mind is what? The salat. Quran orders Prophet Ibrahim, Ismail to purify Masjid-al-Haram for the worshipper. Salat is so important that the likes of Zakaria, Maryam, Ibrahim, Ismail alayhim as-salatu was-salam are considered to be servants of the places of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next time someone asks you to clean the place of worship, a place where you perform ibadat, don't shy away, because you're being given the opportunity to be amongst Zakaria, Maryam, Ibrahim, and Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. If you want to be in the saf of Ibrahim and Zakaria and Maryam, then someone tells you to go ahead and clean the place of worship, you should not shy away. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us the tawfiq to be able to follow these commands of Luqman and the ahadith of Masumin alayhi salatu wasalam. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما